What's up guys, Corvus95 here, and welcome to my top 10 series. Today I'm going to be covering my top 10 favourite Kanto Pokemon, or first generation Pokemon. So we're going to start off with a Pokemon that's made quite a big impact on me lately, since I started doing random battles. It came up clutch for me in episode 12 I believe, was the random battles. And that is Muck. So Muck is a Pokemon that I didn't really like that much. I mean I kind of liked him. He was probably in my top 30 or 40 Kanto Pokemon. But just seeing how clutch he came in for me in that random battle, and then I've been doing some battles in the Battle Maison. I've been using a Muck and he's been doing pretty well in there as well. So that's probably the main reason he's sneaked into this top 10. As you can see, some basic stats about the Pokemon I'm going to have. The Pokedex entries are all from Red and Blue. And yeah, he's got pretty good attack and HP and special defense. His defense is lacking a bit. Special attack doesn't matter for Muck, of course, and speed. Well, that's why you run Curse Muck, because the speed's already low enough that it doesn't really matter. His abilities aren't the greatest, which is probably why he's in NU. So let's get on to number 9. So number 9 is a Pokemon that, when it first came out in Generation 1, its name was the Legendary Pokemon. But it's not really legendary, it's really just a dog. Anyway, here we have Arcanine. Arcanine. Brilliant Pokemon. You can run it as a defensive Pokemon due to its decently high HP, defense and special defense. As base by 55, I believe, which is ridiculously high compared to most Pokemon. It's like on that level in between normal Pokemon and pseudo-legendary Pokemon. So I'm amazed it's still in UU. But I kind of understand it because of the amount of Earthquake users in Overused, and due to the amount of water types as well that are quite common. Rotom Wash, Azumarill, stuff like that. His abilities, I'd say he's got 3 really good abilities. Intimidate lowers your opponent's attack, so it's a great switch-in one. Flash Fire gives you immunity to fire. And Justified, which when you hit with a Dark type move, your attack rises. So if you know your opponent's going to go for a knockoff and you're okay with sacrificing whatever item you're holding, you can come in, get a +1 attack, and then maybe set up sweep. Of course, Arcanine gets access to extreme speed, and it can be run as either a physical or special attacker due to the 110 attack stat, 100 special attack stat. Speed 95, kind of bad. There's so many Pokemon with 100 speed now that you kind of want to be able to reach that mark, but it's okay. That's probably why I prefer bulky Arcanine over attacking Arcanine. So the third Pokemon on my list, unlike Arcanine, is actually a legendary Pokemon. It's the Pokemon that wasn't really in Red and Blue. Yes, it's Mew. 151 Pokedex number, of course, the final Pokemon from Kanto, and it's just so versatile due to it learning every single TM and I believe every single tutor move as well, apart from the special ones like Draco Meteor. Base 100s across the board, of course. It's an OU for a reason. A knockoff set is brilliant on it. It can use Defog, it can Stealth Rock Go, you could run it as any of the choices. And yeah, the Pokédex entry I really like, but it's really annoying because Mew is so common now because of Showdown and just hacking in the games in general. They say quite often, so it's not only a few people have seen it worldwide. I wish it still was, but what are you gonna do? Now, the 7th Pokemon on my list is kind of meh. It's kind of it's very generic, let's say that. And you'll see what I mean when I announce that number 7 is Pikachu. So Pikachu, static, Lightning Rod, decent abilities. Static, not so much. Lightning Rod gives you immunity to electric type moves and boosts your special attack if you get hit by one. Pure electric. Stats aren't really anything to talk about. 55 base attack, 50 base special attack, 90 base speed. It can't take hit. Light Ball does double its attack and special attack to 110 and 100, so same as Arcanine. So pretty decent, but when it can't take a hit back. It's in the NFA tier course. The cosplay Pikachus are slightly better, but I don't really like them as much as regular Pikachu. I think that I do quite like the Pokemon anime. It went down a bit during the Black and White saga, I feel, but I think the new saga X and Y with Serena, Clement, Bonnie, it's really stepped up again. Although I think my favourite saga was still the Sinnoh saga. But yeah, so on to number 6. And number 6 is a Kanto starter Pokemon. It's a middle evolution. It's not Charmeleon. It's not Ivysaur. It's Wartortle. So abilities wise, Torrent, Rain Dish, both decent abilities. Torrent boosts water type moves when you're below a quarter health, and Rain Dish heals you during the rain. It was better last generation because you had unlimited weather, which I really want weather to last longer. 5 turns just doesn't seem enough. I'd quite like to see it extended to like 10 turns, and then if you hold a Damp Rock it gets extended to 15 turns, possibly. Because we went from last generation when weather teams were just overpowered, to this generation when you hardly ever see a weather team, which I think they need to find a middle ground. So possibly extend the weather by up to 10 turns, maybe? We'll have to see. Anyway, base stats, basically 60 HP, 60 attack, 80 defense, 65 special attack, 80 special defense, and 60 speed. So it's quite interesting that attack and special attack are basically the same. Its defense and special defense are the same, and its HP and speed are basically the same. So it's quite balanced as a Pokemon, although obviously more of a defensive Pokemon. I probably wouldn't use it. I don't use it very often, I'll say that. I probably prefer to go for Blastoise in actual competitive battles, but there's just something about Wartortle that I prefer to Blastoise. I'm not sure exactly what. I think it might be the tail. Yeah, the tail and the ears. Just something about Wartortle I really like. So the next Pokemon on the list is also a starter Pokemon. It's also a first evolution. And once again, it isn't Charmeleon. It's Ivysaur. So grass type Pokemon are my favourite type. And Ivysaur is probably one of my favourite starters. I prefer it to Venusaur, I think Venusaur is incredibly good in competitive, but Ivysaur just has that kind of charm because not many people like Ivysaur. lots of people like Bulbasaur because of the anime, and lots of people like Venusaur because of actual competitiveness, and he's a really good Pokemon. So I feel like Ivysaur is sometimes left out, but it can really put in work if you get in the right situation with that 80 special attack, 80 special defense. 63 defense isn't great, but with an Eviolite, it can do pretty well. You can have Chlorophyll, double its speed in the sun. Yeah, I really want weather to come back, by the way. Loads of my favourite Pokemon would benefit so much from longer weather that it's insane. And okay, and that's actually the first Pokemon on my list, I believe, that has a dual typing. So let's move on to number 4, which also has a dual typing. It's probably going to be quite surprising, this Pokemon, but in my first ever Pokemon game was Pokemon Sapphire. I had been like following Pokemon. I watched the anime and played the trading card game before that, but Pokemon Sapphire was my first game, and this was one of 3 Pokemon that I basically walked through the game with. Well, it was one of 2 Pokemon originally, which was later joined by a 3rd Pokemon. So, and this Pokemon that helped me beat Sapphire on my first attempt is Golem. So, Rock Ground type, Sturdy Rockhead Sandvale, all decent abilities. Sturdy is brilliant in situations. It's basically a focus sash. It didn't used to be great. Protects you from one-hit KO moves. Yeah, that's amazing for competitive where they're banned, but it's really good in the Battle Maison because the trainers in the Battle Maison seem to be able to connect one-hit KO moves like 80% of the time. So it's really good to take in at least one Pokemon with Sturdy. Rockhead protects it from recoil damage. That's really helpful as well. Although I don't believe Golem learns that many recoil moves, but this is still a good ability. And Sandvale boosts evasiveness in Sandstorm. Once again, could benefit from longer weather, but yeah. Base 110 attack, base 130 defense, 80 HP is not great, and the bottom row, special attack, special defense, and speed, really bad. So I'd actually like to say next generation, I'd be fine. This is probably quite controversial. I'd be fine if 7th gen wasn't compatible with any of the previous generations, and they completely reworked all Pokemon stats to try and like not balance the playing field, but like the first generation Pokemon and the second generation Pokemon in general, and even some of the 3rd generation Pokemon are massively underpowered compared to the newer Pokemon. So I'd like to see them just give them like a boost to, like Golem for example, I'd like to see it get maybe an extra bit of HP, extra bit of special defense, and that's about it. Like speed, Golem, even if you give it plus 20 to 65, it's not outspeeding most Pokemon. And special attack doesn't really matter for Golem. So, and its attack and defense stats are monstrous at the minute, so just a little boost to HP, a little boost to special defense, I think it'd climb up the tiers a bit. But it's in PU at the minute, which, yeah, you're not going to see many Golems on the ladder, but it can be a stealth rocker. Another thing I want to see, improve explosion. I loved it in 4th generation. 4th generation was when I was in the competitive scene the most, and explosion was so amazing in 4th generation because it cut your opponent's defense in half before you used it. So it was so amazing as like a last resort move. They had on like Heatrans, Azelfs, Bronzongs used it. Oh, I love 4th gen. I want to go back to 4th gen. So the 3rd Pokemon on my list is another legendary Pokemon. So there's 4 options. It could be Mewtwo, it could be Articuno, it could be Zapdos, it could be Moltres. Now, of those, my favourite is probably most people's least favourite of the four. It's not Moltres, it's not Zapdos, it's not Mewtwo, it is Articuno. So, yeah, it's crippled by one of my least favourite things in Pokemon, Stealth Rock. Loses 50% of its health on entry if Stealth Rock's up, which is why it's down in PU. Also the fact that it's a special wall basically. You can run Assault Vest, Articuno. Its move pool's not great, so it's not the best to run Assault Vest because you sometimes have to go duplicate typings if you want to get power in your moves, but yeah, could benefit from weather again, Snowcloak. It's very good defensively. Defense 100, special defense 125, HP 90. It's only got 85 speed, which always surprises me, because I always think of the legendary birds as really fast, and none of them are really that fast. 85 attack, I also find very strange. All the legendary birds have quite decent attack, yet none of them are physical attackers. And only 95 special attack. It's the problem with Articuno is it's quite well rounded, and the thing it specialises in is special defense, but its HP is not that great, so it kind of can't wall. But yeah, so that's why Articuno is impartially used. As to why I love Articuno, I mentioned when I was talking about Golem that there was 3 Pokemon that I walked through Sapphire with, and they were Sceptile, Golem, and after I completed Fire Red, I transferred over an Articuno, and Articuno was amazing in Sapphire 4, because I must have beat the Elite Four 150 times in Pokemon Sapphire. Articuno could just walk through the entire Elite Four by itself. And because of that, it's just one of my favourite Pokemon and probably always will be. Now, the number 2 Pokemon on my list is another Pokemon that isn't the favourite out of its pair, should we say. And it's not many people like it, and I know why. It's because it's really weak. This is why they need to rebalance the stats, because Pokemon like my number 2, Butterfree, are incredibly weak. Look, its best stat is 90 special attack. What am I going to do with that? Am I going to have to Choice Scarf a Butterfree so I can get off one hit and then get killed? Basically, Compound Eyes, Tinted Lens, both brilliant abilities. It's in PU. Bug Flying type. It learns all the powders. I believe it learns Quiver Dance. See the Bug Flying types? All of them basically do the same thing. I'd like to, since we've got Mega Beedrill, I'd like to see a Mega Butterfree that's a Bug Psychic type. I think that would be very interesting. And quite unique. So, and hopefully a big boost to its stats. And I mean, even if they do what they did to Mega Beedrill to Butterfree, if they boost its special attack and speed right up, and lowering its defense and special defense, I'd be fine with that. But I love Butterfree. It's so good. Pokemon Yellow. You've got Pikachu as your starter, and you've got to fight Brock. You have to catch a Butterfree and just confusion his Geodude and Onix to death. That's just how you play those games at the very start. So I have great memories of it from then. And it's okay in the first generation games, and it was decent in Fire Red and Leaf Green, but now it's just outclassed by so many Pokemon that my poor little Butterfree hardly ever gets to fight. So just look at it in the anime picture. It wants to battle, it's just not strong enough. And so before we go on to my favourite Kanto Pokemon, I'm just going to go through 5 honourable mentions. So first up we have Executor. It's another grass type. It's my second favourite grass type in Kanto. And it's quite unique typing, grass psychic. And with chlorophyll, it's so powerful. I believe it's got over 100 base special attack. And it hits so hard, and once you have chlorophyll set up, it can just sweep your opponent's team completely out of the water. And yeah, Jolteon. Now Jolteon's an interesting one, because when I started doing this, I set myself some rules. I was only allowed 1 Pokemon from each evolutionary line, no matter if they were spread across multiple regions. So for example, I can't have God of War and Gallade both in my top 10s. Which means that Jolteon, which is probably 5th or 6th favourite Pokemon of mine in Kanto, doesn't manage to make this list. Because one of the other evolutions is my favourite. So yeah, unlucky to Jolteon, but yeah, that's the rules I've come up with. Dratini, great Pokemon. Well, Dragonite's a great Pokemon, but I've always liked Dratini and Dragonair more, and I think of Dratini and Dragonair, Dratini's my favourite. So that's why it's in the honourable mentions. Seaking was another Pokemon in Pokemon Sapphire that on my second or third playthrough I got a Seaking, and it learns Waterfall naturally. So I had Waterfall by like the 4th badge or something. I couldn't use it obviously, but when it came around to me getting HM07 Waterfall, I was like, wait, my Seaking already has that. So it's always been one of my favourites. I'm quite surprised actually going through that it didn't manage to make my top 10, but there was just some Pokemon that I've grown to love more than Seaking in recent years. So, and then the final Pokemon is Slowbro. So Slowbro's interesting in that I've hardly ever used it competitively. I've never used it in like a in-game playthrough. Yet, just I think its derpiness just makes me want to love Slowbro. And I prefer Slowking. Slowking's pretty cool in the Lugia movie, but there's just something about Slowbro and its Mega Evolution is pretty cool. I use Mega Slowbro a bit in the Balmazon, but regular Slowbro, I think I prefer the aesthetic of regular Slowbro over Mega Slowbro, and it's enough to get in my honourable mentions. So consider these 11 to 15 if you want. But we've got 1 Pokemon left on this list. First of all, it's a fire type. It was really good in Generation 1 when the special split didn't exist. It's got a really good ability, 2 really good abilities actually. Yet it's in PU. That Pokemon is Ninetales. Flash Fire, Fire Immunity, amazing. Drought, brings in the sun, amazing. Sun doesn't last very long, not amazing. Drought, Sandstream, Snow Warning, and Drizzle, banned from UU and below, not amazing. Because Charizard Y outshines Ninetales in terms of power, so Ninetales is not going to appear very regularly in OU enough that it's going to get to stay in OU. Yeah, so as I was saying, before the special split, or before special was split into special attack and special defense, Ninetales' special stat was amazing because it has 81 special attack, 100 special defense. But then when special split into special attack and special defense, most of the points went into its special defense, which makes it not the greatest attacker. It has a decent move pool: Shadow Ball, Extra Sensory, Fire type moves obviously. I believe it gets Energy Ball. You can use Will-O-Wisp, moves like that, and Ninetales is in my top 5 Pokemon. I'll tell you that now. It's just, I don't know, there's something about it, just the beauty of Ninetales, that I always want. It's my favourite fire type, and it's just my number 1 Kanto Pokemon. And with that, I'd like to thank you guys for watching. I've been Corvus95. Drop a like if you liked the video, comment your top 10 Kanto Pokemon down in the comment section below, and hit the subscribe button if you want to see more videos like this. I'll see you next time, guys, and goodbye.